Oops, sorry, I was on mute. Nitila Pavishram Vishnupada Shatarashata Shishmar Bhaktivedanta Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudev Ki Jai. Nitila Pavishram Vishnupada Shatarashata Shishmar Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitila Pavishram Vishnupada Shatarashata Shishmar Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitila Pravishta Mahabhagavat Shilagokshara Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitila Shila Satchirananda Bhakti Vinod Ṭhākura Ki Jai. Nitila Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Anugadya Guru Varga Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath. Shri Jiva Gopala Padadash Raghunath Shara Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Jai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshada Vrinda Ki Jai. नाम जय श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल ब्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व विश्व विराट गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंद श्याम कुंद की जय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योग माया की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Seems like my connection's not so good this morning. Yeah. Maybe I'll try to go use somebody else's Wi-Fi. Anyways, let's do Mangalacharan and I'll try to get that set up in the meantime. Vandeham Shri Guru... No, what is it? Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Trikri Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad-Bhakti-Vedanta Narayanitti Namine Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swaminitti Namine Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha Guruve Gochandraya Adhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhakta Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha Yang Pravrajantamapeta Krityam Dvaipayano Virahakatara Ajuhavo Bhuteti Tanmayataya Taravo Bhinitustam Sarvabhuta Hridaya Munimanatosmi Narayanam Namaskritya Eva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Shayamurayet Shrintang Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridantasto Yavadrani Vidhunuti Suritsatam Shtaprayishvavadrishu Nitya Sevaya Bhagavat Uttamashloke Pirbhavati Naishtaki Tavaivasmi Narivami Tvaya Vina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayanantikam Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshaya Kshipta Shtakamaditangamad Kripa Mani Tvam Sharanam Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Vajna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All right, I'm going to try to use a different Wi-Fi connection upstairs, but you just have to give me a second to get back. Let me just check what's going on. A good connection. Okay, so I am going upstairs to try that Wi-Fi out. Give me 1 second. 1 second, I'm just going to shut off the screen and then I'll be right back. Sorry. Oh. All right, so there's another Wi-Fi connection. I'm going to try upstairs. Hey, bol, everybody. Pranams. 1 second. Okay. Going to where there's a different Wi-Fi. Let's see. Hari bol. Okay. Let me Guys, I'm back. Thanks for so patient. Okay, now I'm going to try my mobile data. Okay, is that better? Now you're seeing me? I don't think this connection is much better though. Okay, you know what? I think I've tried 3 different options. None of them are working. I think I'm gonna just have to pre-record this video, unless it's okay now. Let me know if it's okay now. Otherwise, I'll just... Yeah? Okay. This one seems much better? Okay. Okay, let's do this one then. Oh my god. Okay. Thanks for waiting for me for... How long has it been? It's about, a long time. Okay, great, Rukmini Didi. Thanks. Okay, so now let's go... Oh, awesome. Should have just tried using my mobile data from the beginning. All right, so let's go through a recap. What is it? Kindle. I'm gonna plug in this mic. So, oh wow, this gives a very short. It says in the describing the pastimes of Krishna, Shukadeva Goswami also described the prayers by the personified Vedas, glorifying the personal and impersonal aspects of Lord Narayan. That was a very short explanation. Let's read from here then. '87. Okay. Shri Parikshit said, O Brahman, how can the Vedas directly describe the supreme absolute truth who cannot be described in words? The Vedas are limited to describing the qualities of material nature, but the Supreme is devoid of these qualities, being transcendental to all material manifestations and their causes. Shukadeva Goswami said, the Supreme Lord manifested the material intelligence, senses, minds, and vital air of living entities so that they could indulge their desires for sense gratification, take repeated births to engage in fruitive activities, become elevated in future lives, and ultimately attain liberation. Those who came before even our ancient predecessors meditated upon this same confidential knowledge of the absolute truth. Indeed, anyone who faithfully concentrates on this knowledge will become free from material attachments and attain the final goal of life. In this connection, I will relate to you a narration concerning the Supreme Lord Narayan. It is a narration that once occurred between Sri Narayan Rishi and Narad Muni. So now he begins the narration. Once, while traveling among the various planets of the universe, the Lord's beloved devotee Narad went to visit the primeval sage Narayan at his ashram. The very beginning of Brahma's day, Lord Narayan Rishi had been undergoing austere penances in this land of Bharat, while perfectly performing religious duties and exemplifying spiritual knowledge and self-control, all for the benefit of human beings in both this world and the next. There Narad approached Lord Narayan Rishi, who was sitting amidst sages of the village of Kalapa. After bowing down to the Lord, O hero of the Kurus, Narad asked him the very same question you have asked me. As Lord Narayan Rishi related to Narad an ancient discussion about the absolute truth that took place among the residents of Janaloka. So now Narayan Rishi is explaining. O son of self-born Brahma, Narad, once, long ago on Janaloka, wise sages who resided there performed a great sacrifice to the absolute truth by vibrating transcendental sounds. These sages, mental sons of Brahma, were all perfect celibates. At that time, you happened to be visiting the Lord on Shvetadvip, that Supreme Lord in whom the Vedas lie down to rest, period of universal annihilation. A lively discussion arose among the sages on Janaloka as to the nature of the supreme truth. Indeed, the same question arose then that you are asking me now. It's a conversation with like a story within a story within a story. Although these sages were all equally qualified in terms of Vedic study and austerity, and although they all saw friends and neutral parties equally, they chose one of their number to be the speaker, and the rest became this. Then Sri Sanandana replied, one of the people there, the sages there, after the Supreme Lord withdrew the universe he had previously created, he lay for some time as if asleep, and all his energies rested dormant within him. When the time came for the next creation, the personified Vedas awakened him by chanting his glories, just as the poets serving a king approach him at dawn and awaken him by reciting his heroics. The Shruti said, "Victory, victory to you, O unconquerable one! By your very nature, you are perfectly full in all opulences. Therefore, please defeats the eternal power of illusion, who assumes control over the modes of nature, create difficulties for conditioned souls. O you who awaken all energies of the moving and non-moving embodied beings! Sometimes the Vedas can recognize you as you sport with your material and spiritual potencies. This perceivable world is identified with the Supreme because the Supreme Brahman is the ultimate foundation of all existence, remaining unchanged as all created things are generated from it, and at last dissolved into it, just as clay remains unchanged by the products and again merged with it. Thus, it is toward you alone that the Vedic sages direct all their thoughts, words, and acts. After all, how can the footsteps of men fail to touch the earth on which they live? Therefore, O Master of the three worlds, the wise get rid of all misery by diving deep into the nectarian ocean of topics about you, which washes away all the contamination of the universe. Then what to speak of those who, having by spiritual strength rid their minds of bad habits and freed themselves from time, and are able to worship your true nature, O Supreme One, finding within it uninterrupted bliss. Only if they become your faithful followers are those who breathe actually alive. Otherwise, their breathing is just like that of a bellows. It is by your mercy alone that the elements, beginning with the Mahat Tattva and false ego, created by the egg of this universe. It's only by your mercy alone that the elements created the egg of this universe. Among the manifestations known as Annamaya and so forth, You are the ultimate, entering within the material coverings along with the living entity and assuming the same forms as those he takes. Distinct from the gross material manifestations, you are the reality underlying them all. Among the followers of the methods set forth by great sages, those with less refined vision worship the Supreme as present in the region of the abdomen, while Arunis worship him as present in the heart, in the subtle center from which all the pranic channels emanate. From there, O unlimited Lord, these worshippers raise their consciousness upward to the top of the head, where they can perceive you directly. Then, passing through the top of the head toward the supreme destination, reach that place from which they will never again fall to this world, into the mouth of death. Apparently entering among the variegated species of living beings that you have created, you inspire them to act, manifesting yourself according to the higher and lower positions, just as fire manifests differently according to the shape of what it burns. Therefore, those of spotless intelligence who are altogether free from material attachments realize your undifferentiated, unchanging self to be the permanent reality among all these impermanent life forms. The individual living entity, while inhabiting the material bodies he has created for himself by his karma, actually remains uncovered by either gross or subtle matter. This is so because, as the Vedas describe, he is part and parcel of you, the possessor of all potencies. Having determined the status of the living entity, learned sages become imbued with faith and worship his feet, to which all Vedic sacrifices in this world are offered, and which are the source of liberation. Okay, so that's where we read to yesterday. I don't know how many verses we're going to read today. Probably not way too many, but yeah. And pranams Rukmini Didi, Papatarani Mataji, Prajuna Guru Mantra Murti Mataji, Manjari Didi, Nitai, and everybody else watching, Gargrajji, Ganga Mataji, Madhavi Didi, and everybody else, Yashoda Didi. Alright. So, where are we? Duravagatma tattva nigamayatvatatanush Charita mahamritabdi parivarta parishramana Na parilashanti kechirapavargamapishvarate Charana sarojahangsa sangha visrishta griha. I did it. Sorry. I had a hard time with that meter. My Lord, some fortunate souls have gotten relief from the fatigue of material life by diving into the vast nectar ocean of your pastimes, which you enact when you manifest your personal forms to propagate the unfathomable science of the self. These rare souls, indifferent even to liberation, renounce the happiness of home and family because of their association with devotees who are like flocks of swans enjoying at the lotus of your feet. Commentary. Sārārtha-darśinī commentary by Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura. In order to indicate the super excellence of bhakti yoga, which has as its object the personality of Godhead, Bhagavan, and that such devotional service is what the personified Vedas themselves accept as the best process, they again glorify bhakti in 4 verses. Let's see if we can get through these 4 verses. That would be great. So the Shruti say, O Lord, to distribute to Atma Tattva the confidential mystery of your personal forms, qualities, pastimes, and sweetness, which is difficult for the jivas to understand, you compassionately appear in this world to display your pastimes, which are a vast ocean. The word parishramanaha, fatigue, refers to those rare devotees who, although becoming fatigued after repeatedly diving into the endless waves and whirlpools in the ocean of Krishna's ecstatic pleasure pastimes, do not desire even the happiness of liberation. What to speak then of the material happiness of dharma, artha, kama, and kama, piety, wealth, and sense enjoyment? Rather, their very fatigue becomes the Rather, their very fatigue becomes pleasure for them, just as young materialistic persons, though incapable of tolerating hard work, consider the fatigue produced by sex indulgence to be the highest pleasure of all. Similarly, the Lord's pure devotees become enthused by relishing the sweet nectar of Krishna's pastimes and feel impelled to dance, sing, kick their heels together, faint, shed tears, cry out in lamentation, and run about like madmen. I like that, kick their heels together. Immersed in ecstasy, they are unaware of any bodily discomfort. Indeed, they think the happiness of Brahman to be like the pleasure animals derive from chewing grass. This is also stated by Sridhar Swami. Tvat katamritam patodho viharanto mahamura gurvatina kechich chaturvargam trinopamam. Those rare, fortunate souls who blissfully play in the nectar ocean of your pastimes consider the four great goals of life, piety, wealth, sense pleasure, and liberation, to be no more than a blade of grass. The Shrutis more specifically describe the cause of attaining happiness from the Lord. By the association of saintly, swan-like Vaishnavas, who forever relish the sweet nectar of serving your lotus feet, a devotee becomes so absorbed in tasting that nectar that he loses all attraction for his wife and family. There are many verses from the Upanishads and other Shrutis proclaiming the superiority of bhakti over mukti. The Nrsimha Purva Tapani Upanishad says, Yang sarve vedanamanti mumukshavo brahmavadinascha. To him, all the Vedas, all seekers of liberation, and all students of the absolute truth offer their obeisances. Commenting on this mantra, Sri Shankaracharya admits, Mukta api lilaya vigraham kritva bhagavantam bhajanti. Even the liberated souls have form. They worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead and enjoy pastimes with Him. Sri Madhvacharya Anandatirtha cites his own favorite Shruti mantras in this regard, such as Mukta Hyetam Upasate Muktanam Api Bhaktir Hi Paramananda Rupini. Even those who are liberated worship Him, and even for them, devotional service is the embodiment of supreme bliss. The Taittiriya Brahmana 3.12.3 says, Amritasya dhara bahuda dohamanam charanam no loke suditam tadhatu om tat sat. May the abundant streams of nectar flowing from his feet flood the world with nectar. May his Charnamrita flood the world with nectar. Tvaranupatam kulayam Tvadanupatam kulayam idamatma suhrit priyavach charati taton muke tvaihite priya atmanicha Nabhataramantaho asarupasanayatmahano Yaranushaya brahmantyurubhaye kusharirabhrita. I finally got the meter. Took me a while. But when this human body is used for your devotional service, it acts as oneself, friend and beloved. It acts as oneself, one's friend, and one's beloved, right? Yeah. But unfortunately, although you always show mercy to the conditioned souls and affectionately help them in every way, and although you are their true self, people in general fail to delight in you. Instead, they commit spiritual suicide by worshipping illusion. Alas, because they persistently hope for success in their devotion to the unreal, they continue to wander about this greatly fearful world, assuming various degraded bodies. Just checking the connection's still good. Looks like it. Awesome. So because they persistently hope for success in their devotion to the unreal, to Maya, they continue to wander about this greatly fearful world, assuming various degraded bodies. Commentary. After describing the devotees who renounce the image of hearth and home, the Shrutis lament for the jivas who are attached to home and do not perform devotional service. This body, which is the nest of the Jivatma bird, is the ideal facility for reviving one's spiritual consciousness. The body's organs, the ears, tongue, eyes, and hands, are quite suitable for hearing and chanting about Krishna, worshipping him, and practicing the limbs of devotional service. One's material body is destined to remain intact for only a short time, and so it is called kulayam, subject to dissolving into the earth. That's kol liyate. This body appears as oneself, friend, and beloved, but such appearance is not found in a dead body. Ah, how sad it is that they do not find pleasure in humbly serving you, by whose connection the body seems to be oneself. Nevertheless, due to your compassionate nature, you are favorably disposed toward them, and always act as their benefactor. You ever remain their beloved, well-wishing friend. You ever remain their beloved, well-wishing friend. In reality, as the ever-present indwelling Supersoul, you are a greater object of affection than even the body and the soul itself, and are thus very easily served. By worshipping illusion due to the bad training received from studying and teaching false materialistic scriptures, or by having too much affection for sons, wife, and family, they maintain material desires that carry them into more degraded bodies, like jackals and animals in each successive life. Such people commit spiritual suicide and continually rotate in the terribly fearful cycle of material existence. The Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad 4.3.15 states, Aramang asya pashanti na tam pashyati kashchana natam vidhattayam ima jajananyad yushmakam antaram babhuva niharena pravritta jalpya chasutripta uktha shasas charanti. Everyone can see the place where the Lord manifested himself in this world for his own pleasure, but still no one sees him. None of you know him who generated all these living beings, and thus there's a great difference between your vision and his. Covered by the fog of illusion, you performers of Vedic rituals indulge in useless talk and live only to gratify your senses. The Ishupanishad verse 3 is, Asurya nama te loka andhena tamasavrita tangste pretyabhikachanti ye ke chatma hano jana. The killer of the soul, whoever he may be, must enter into the planets known as the worlds of the faithless, full of darkness and ignorance. Verse 23. Nibhritamarun manokshadridayo gayujo hridiyan munaya upasate tarayo piyayu smaranat Striya uragendra bhoga bhuja danda vishakta dhiyo. Sorry, I messed up on that one. Vayamapite samadrishong grisaro jasudha. Striya uragendra bhoga bhuja danda vishakta dhiyo. Anyways, Vayamapite samadrishong grisaro jasudha. Simply by constantly thinking of him, the enemies of the Lord attains the same supreme truth, whom sages fixed in yoga worship by controlling their breath, mind, and senses. So simply by thinking of the Lord, the enemies of the Lord attains the same supreme truth, who sages fixed in yoga worship by controlling their breath, mind, and senses. Similarly, we Shrutis, who generally see you as all-pervading, will achieve the same nectar from your lotus feet that your consorts are able to relish because of their loving attraction to your mighty serpentine arms. For you look upon us and your consorts in the same way. Whoa, very interesting verse, huh? Commentary. In order to speak of the supreme position of Bhakti Yoga directed only to Krishna, and of the super excellence of Krishna among all the personal forms of God, the Shrutis first denigrate Jnana Yoga, which has impersonal Brahman as its goal. The Shrutis said, the sages who engage in steadfast yoga with fully controlled breathing, mind, and senses meditates in their purified hearts on that same Paramatma, the personal form of Brahman, which the demons, who appeared when Krishna descended, attained simply by remembrance of the Lord with animosity. Ah, such is the greatness of Krishna, that even demons like Kamsa and others, though they saw Krishna briefly with mundane vision and in pure hearts obsessed with enmity, and though they were devoid of any realization of the sweetness of Krishna's body, still they quickly obtained the perfection of liberation simply by remembering Sri Krishna's personal form. We cannot even imagine how long it will take those meditative sages to attain that Brahman. Speaking for themselves, however, the personified Vedas here state that they wish to sweet mellows of Krishna Prem that are relished by Krishna's intimate friends, such as the young gopis of Vraj. The Shruti said, the minds of the damsels of Vraj were attracted with great love to the powerfully soft arms of Krishna, which resemble the body of the king of snakes. They lovingly served and relished the sweet nectar of Krishna's lotus feet by holding them on their breasts. This is described in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 10:31-19. This is the last verse of Gopi Geet. Yat te sujata charanam buruhang staneshu bhita shanai priya dadhi mahi karkasheshu te natave matasityarvyatate na kingsvit kurpadibir brahmatidir bhavamayushamna. O dearly beloved, your lotus feet are so soft that we place them gently on our breasts, fearing that your feet will be hurt. Our life rests only in you. Our minds, therefore, are filled with anxiety that your tender feet might be wounded by pebbles as you roam about on the forest path. In the second half of this verse, the Shrutis, hankering in ecstatic eagerness, imagine that they have attained Krishna's feet in the same way as the gopis of Vrindavan. The Shruti said, we will attain you by performing austerities to obtain forms, just like the Vraja gopis. But, Krishna might question, how will you do this? Shrutis, with undivided attention, we will faithfully follow in the footsteps of the damsels of Vraj. In this verse, 4 groups have been described. The sages and the demons mentioned in the first half attained impersonal realization of Krishna. In the last part of the verse, the gopis and Shrutis both achieved Krishna in the mood of conjugal love. This is understood from using the word api, also, twice. Just saying what? Oops. Yes. Okay. In the supplements to the Brihad Vamana Purana, Lord Brahma relates a history regarding this incident. Brahmanandamayo loko vyapi vaikunta sangita taloka vasitatrastai stuto vedhai paratpara. The infinite world of spiritual bliss is called Vaikunta. There the Supreme Truth lives, being glorified by the personified Vedas who reside there too. Chiram stutva tatastushta paroksham prahatan gira tushtosmi brutatbho pragya varangyam manasepsitam. Once, after the Vedas had elaborately praised him, the Lord felt especially satisfied and spoke to them in a voice whose source remained invisible. My dear sages, I am very satisfied with you. Please ask of me some benediction that you secretly desire. Then Shrutaya Uchu Yatata Lokavasinya Kama Tatvena Gopika Bhajanti Ramanam Matva Chikirsha Janinastata. The Shrutis replied, we have developed the desire to become like the Vrajagopis of the mortal world, who, inspired by lust, worship you in the mood of a lover. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Durlabo Durgataschaiva Yushmakam Samanoratha Mayanumodita Samyak Satyo Bhavitamarhati. The Lord then said, this desire of yours is difficult to fulfill. Indeed, it is almost impossible. But since I am sanctioning it, your wish must inevitably come true. Agamini virinchotu jatis srishtartamudite kalpam sarashvatam prapya vrajegopyo bhavishyata. When the next Brahma takes birth to faithfully execute his duties of creation, and when the day of his life called the Saraswat Kalpa arrives, you will all appear in Vraj as gopis. Prithvivyam bharate kshetre mathure mama mandale vrindavane bhavishyami preyan vorasa mandale. On the earth, in the land of Bharata, in my own district of Mathura, in the forest of Vrindavan, I will become your beloved in the circle of the ras dance. Jara dharmena susneham sudridam sarvatodikam mai samprapya sarvepi krita kritya bhavishyata. Thus, obtaining me as your paramour, you will all gain the most exalted and steadfast pure love for me, and in this way you will fulfill all your ambitions. Brahmovacha Shrutvaitaj chintayantasta rupam bhagavataschiram uktakalam samasadya gopyo bhutva harim gata. Lord Brahma said, after hearing these words, the Shrutis meditated on the Lord's beautiful form for a long time. When the designated time ultimately arrived, they became gopis and obtained the association of Lord Hari. Wow, that was really neat. Where is that from? I forgot what it said. Oh, no. It was all from the Brihad-Vamana Purana. That was related by Lord Brahma. Okay, now. Okay, the following verse from the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad 4.5.6 supports the topic of this verse. Atmava drashtavya shotavyo mantavyo nididhyasitavya. One must see the Lord, hear about him, think about him, and meditate upon him with fixed concentration. The idea here is that one should directly see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The means for achieving this are then stated. First, one must hear from a bona fide guru and take the words of such a spiritual master into one's heart by offering him humble service and striving in all ways to please him. One should then continuously ponder the divine message of the spiritual master with the aim of dispelling all one's doubts and misconceptions. Then one can proceed to meditate on Sri Krishna's lotus feet with total conviction and determination. Nice. The Gyanis conclude that impersonal realization of the Supreme is more complete and final than personal worship of the Lord, of the Supreme Godhead. The Vaishnavas, however, conclude that the essential meaning of the Vedas refers to the personal form of Godhead, who possesses wonderful spiritual variety and distinct transcendental qualities. The Katha Upanishad 1-23 explains this point. Yame vaisha vrinute tena labhyas tasyaisha atma vrinute tanungsvam. One cannot understand the Supreme Soul by studying the Vedas, or by hearing many scriptures, or by one's mental energy. The Lord reveals his personal form to the person who accepts the Lord as his master. That person alone attains the Lord. A further understanding of the verse quoted above from the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad 4.5.6, Atma va aridrashravya shrotavyo mantavyo nididhyasitavya, is given as follows. So here's a further understanding of that verse. One should realize and see the Supreme Personality of Godhead who possesses a body full of auspicious qualities. This can be achieved by hearing the Krishna mantra from the mouth of the Divine Spiritual Master. The Shrutis, such as the Kramadipika, states that the mantra and the Swarupa of the Lord are identical. Mantramaya Vapushaha. The word mantavya refers to the process of remembering, which consists of paying careful attention to the sounds and the meaning of the mantra. The word nididhyasitavya stood according to the statement of the Amar Kosh dictionary. Nirvarnam tu nirdhyanam darshana alokane kshanam. The word nirdhyanam means seeing, darshanam. The desire to see the deity mentioned in the mantra is called nididhyasanam. In other words, by regularly chanting one's Diksha mantra as japa while carefully thinking about its meaning, one should cultivate the desire to see one's worshipful Lord. By cultivating the desire to see him, then Shri Krishna, reality the beautiful, will manifest himself one day. He will manifest himself one day before the eyes of the devotee. In regard to the personified Veda's desire to attain the Vrajagopi's mood of conjugal desire, Krishna says in the Gopal Tapani Upanishad, Uttara 4, Aputa puta bhavati yam mang smritvya avrati vrati bhavati yam mam smritva nishkam sakam bhavati yam mam smritva ashroti shroti bhavati yam mam smritva. By remembering me, one who is impure becomes pure. By remembering me, one who follows no vows becomes a strict follower of vows. By remembering me, one who is desireless develops desires to serve me. By remembering me, one who has studied no Vedic mantras becomes an expert knower of the Vedas. The Gopal Tapani Upanishad 12 also states, Vrajastri janas sambhuta shrutibhyo brahmasangata. The Shrutis took birth among the women of Vraj. Or it means that Shri Krishna achieved the association of all the divisions of the Vedas by meeting the Shrutis when they appeared in Vrindavan as gopis. Okay, so now this is verse 4, and we're going to end with this verse. And it's not such a long commentary, so we'll end, not wait so much over time. Just checking everything's okay. Hare Krishna, Yashji, and Sudevi Didi. So that's once in a life of Brahma. Yeah. Okay. Ka iha nu veda bhattai. Ka iha nu veda patavara janmalayo grasaram. Yata udagadrishir yamanu deva ganam ubhaye. Tarhi nasan na cha sarubhayam na cha kala java. Kemapi na tatra shastram avakrishya sayita yada. Everyone in this world has recently been born and will soon die. So how can anyone here know him who existed prior to everything else, and who gave rise to the first learned sage, Brahma, and all subsequent demigods, both lesser and greater? When he lies down and withdraws everything within himself, nothing else remains, no gross or subtle matter or bodies composed of these, no force of time or revealed scripture. Commentary. Here the Shrutis express that devotional bhakti yoga, as described in these prayers of the personified Vedas, is the surest and easiest path to the knowledge of the Lord and to liberation. It's the surest and easiest path to knowledge of the Lord and to liberation. On the other hand, the path of jnana yoga, this philosophic research for knowledge, is very difficult to traverse. The Shruti said, "O Lord, the men in this world are relatively recent productions. So how can they completely know you, who existed before all? Besides, from you first appeared the Veda, which is the source of whatever little knowledge can be had of you. According to the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, even the Vedas are searching after you. Veda guhyani hrit pate. The Lord of the heart, the Paramatma, hides himself deep within the confidential recesses of the Vedic sounds." That's from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1-35. Following the Veda, the presiding demigods of the senses, like the demigods of the directions, wind and sun, and the planetary rulers, like Lord Brahma, appeared from you. Certainly, those who have appeared even more recently than them cannot easily know you. At the time of dissolution, when you withdraw everything and lie down, then there is no means for the jivas, who also lie down within you, to acquire knowledge, since at that time neither the gross elements like ether or the subtle elements like the Mahat Tattva are manifest. Nor is the material body or the movements and effects of time. Therefore, at that time, there is nothing, no senses, life airs, and no revealed to give knowledge. The intended idea is as follows. As long as the creation lasts, living beings face many obstacles created by the coverings of material bodies. Even though they have divine scriptures to guide them and the opportunity to execute various methods of sadhana, the conditioned souls have but little power for gaining knowledge of you. When the time of annihilation comes, even though there are no more obstructions, the Vedic scriptures and their regulative injunctions become unmanifest, leaving the dormant jivas completely in ignorance of you. Therefore, we should abandon our quest for knowledge of you and simply engage in your devotional service. The Shrutis speak on the same subject. Koda Veda ka iha pravochat kutta ayata kutta iyam visrishti arvag deva visarjanena ta ko Veda yata a babhuva. Who in this world actually knows, and who can explain whence this creation has come? The demigods, after all, are younger creation. Who then can tell whence this world has come into being? That's the Rig Veda 3:54-5. Alright, so it's 8:30 now, and so we will continue our reading tomorrow. And thanks for waiting so long in the beginning because of the 3 bad internet connections. All right. Wonder how much we have left in this chapter. I'll pick it up. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Oh, cool. This verse is really awesome. This verse 30. I did a memorization thing for it. Anyways, I'll talk about that later. Jai Shishi Guru Gauranga Gandhar Vikagiridhari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai. Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai. Nityalla Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Srila Guru Dev Ki Jai. Nityalla Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalla Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nityalla Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalla Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nityalla Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Srila Gorkshodas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalla Pravishta Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Ṭhākura Ki Jai. Nityalla Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Anu Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath. Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Das Raghunath Sharda Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai. नाम आचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जाय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जाय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौरमंडल ब्रजमंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जाय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदाता गिरिराज महाराज की जाय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जाय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जाय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जाय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जाय। श्री पूर्णमासी योग माया की जाय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जाय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जाय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जाय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जाय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जाय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। श्रुति स्तुति की जाय। ओम वृंदाय तुलसी देवाय प्रियाय केशवश्च कृष्ण भक्ति पद देवी सत्यवताय नमो नमः। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो namo namaha. Alright, Dandavat Pranam everybody. So I'll see you all tomorrow. We'll read a really very special verse from the Shruti Stuti, and I'll also give a little. Anyways, whatever. I'll show you a little video that I made yesterday for the 30th verse of the Shruti Stuti. Yeah, it's a really cool commentary. Alright. Haribo, thanks indeed, Mataji, Prajumna Prabhu, Rukmini Didi, Rukmanjari Didi, everybody there. Jai Shri Radhe.